Hello everyone, my name is Larseth and welcome to a short guide on Castile. In this guide we will go over brief, and it will only be brief, strategies for how to start as Castile, the directions you want to take, the allies you want to take, and so on and so forth. So, this is where you start off. This is the starting date, 11th November 1444, and immediately once you've started, you will notice that, you know, there's opportunities for expansion. However, which ones you take primarily depend on what France wants to do. So there is always the possibility that you will be able to get Navarra as a vassal. This can be done either through going to war with them or getting a diplomatic vassalization, which you can see we would be able to do here should we get the relevant opinion. In some campaigns, France will be friendly towards you, and you can ally them and then use them to beat it. Wow. It basically removes any threat to your northern border, and you can use them to help you in any European wars. However, in this one, they are not. They are rival to me. So they will be much more open towards conquering, firstly, Aragon, and then Castile. So we would then need to get somebody to balance, or to balance the stakes, really. So we would probably look to get Austria as an ally. This would, basically mean that I suppose we could also go for England as well in this situation. So that's really all you need to know about France. They're not a terrible threat at the beginning of the game, because they will focus more on invading Aragon than they will you, generally. Your first priority, as the Finish the Reconquista mission suggests, is to defeat Granada and fully annex them, which you will be able to do easily and pretty quickly. So once you've done that, you will have, most of the Iberian Peninsula will be perfectly safe spot. You will generally want to get a alliance with Portugal, at least for the beginning of the game. Once you have annexed Granada, you have a few options. You can either sit around and wait until you get your relevant ideas for expansion, or colonization rather, which I'll discuss in a minute. Or, whilst that's happening, you can try and conquer some provinces in northern Africa. Now, some of them, or most of them rather, are considered overseas, so you get a malus to your autonomy, earnings, all stuff like that. These provinces here in green are the ones that you can conquer, and you won't get that. So these are not considered overseas, so they are perfectly fine to conquer. Anything beyond that, you still can conquer, but it's a lot less valuable, unless, I believe, you turn it into a state, unless you turn it into a territory, I believe. So you could go ahead and do that, or you can make your way down the coast of Africa and jump ship over to South America once you get your expansion ideas. So the ideas that you get, Spanish ideas, so the ideas you start from Castile, are heavily focused around colonization and trade and stuff like that. So it only makes sense, really, that you should strengthen those ideas with idea groups such as exploration, which is probably the best one to go for first, purely because of the quest for the New World idea, which allows you to recruit explorers and conquistadors. Secondly, is probably expansion is best to go for. After that, it is probably a choice of either, I think for me it would probably be trade, or offensive. I mean, the two most important ones are exploration or expansion, I think, first. After that, offensive or trade will be fine. I would probably go for offensive, I think, and then trade. After that, it depends where you're going to be expanding to. If you want to do a lot of European expansion, perhaps admin would be relevant because of the core creation cost reduction. Anything else, and it's probably better to go for another idea, I would imagine. But admin is always a strong idea group to take. But in the long term, your strategy as Castile basically boils down to conquer over foreign provinces, set up colonies, set up protectorates. So the protectorates you could set up in Africa. You could create trade companies with the lands you conquer. Once you've jumped over to South America, you can start setting up your colonies. You ideally want to sort of rush for the Caribbean as soon as you can. So the best strategy is to move along the coast rather than going inland, because your competitors, of which Portugal will initially be the main one, they won't be able to colonize if you've taken the coast. So it's best to move up the coast as quickly as possible. In the long run, it might be a decision that you make, which is quite a common one, which is to attack Portugal. The reason being is because they are really, until England start getting going, and potentially France, they are really your only competitors at the start of the game. So if you take them out, you will basically have unlimited expansion in the New World for quite a while with uncontested expansion. So it could be a very good idea to do that. In the long term, though, you will end up with, generally, a large overseas empire which essentially funnels a vast amount of money into your coffers, and will allow you to potentially expand into Europe. Now, you will already be able to expand into Europe through, if you are lucky, the Iberian Wedding event, which happens between 1450 and 1530. If you and Aragon are not at war and have and each have rulers that are of the opposite gender, or Aragon have a regency council, you will be able to form a personal union over them, and in turn, Naples. Now, obviously, that immediately, expands your empire by a lot, relative to its starting size. You can also then form the Spanish nation diplomatically, which will obviously give you turn you into Spain, which generally is what happens if you get the Iberian Wedding achievement. That's something you probably want to go for. But overall, that is the strategy for Castile. It's a really, really fun nation to play. It's nice, blobbing, creating a massive empire overseas. It's quite an easy nation to play as, but it's certainly still fun. But I hope you found this guide somewhat helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Take care.